Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you today about a simple phrase that has the power to change your life. Asterisk, educate yourself daily. Asterisk, we live in a world where knowledge is more accessible than ever before. You carry in your pocket the power to learn, to grow, to rise above your circumstances. Yet too many of us settle. Too many of us sit still when the world is moving forward. Too many of us wait for opportunity to knock, when God has already handed us the tools to build our own door. Let me tell you something, friend. Every great leader, every great thinker, every person who has risen from nothing to something understood one simple truth. Asterisk, you must feed your mind just as you feed your body. Asterisk, you cannot grow without learning. You cannot succeed without wisdom. You cannot lead without understanding. And you cannot fulfill your God-given purpose unless you make it your mission to educate yourself every single day. You don't need a fancy degree to do this. You don't need a classroom or a professor. What you need is a hunger to know more, to do more, to be more. Open a book, ask questions, watch, listen, study. God has placed in you the power to learn, and with it, the power to lead, the power to heal, the power to build, the power to transform. Don't you dare say you're too old. Don't say you're too tired. Don't say it's too late. As long as you have breath in your lungs, you have the power to grow. Educate yourself daily. Not just with facts, but with truth, with character, with faith, with understanding. Learn about the world, but also learn about yourself. Learn about your calling, your purpose, your strengths, and your weaknesses. Because when you educate yourself daily, you're not just changing your mind, you're renewing your spirit. You're sharpening your vision, you're preparing for the day when your name will be called, your moment will arrive, and your legacy will begin. So today, I challenge you, start now. Pick up a book, listen to a mentor. Read a verse, learn one new thing before the sun sets, and do it again tomorrow, and again the next day, and watch how your life begins to shift. Watch how you rise. Watch how doors begin to open. Watch how you begin to live not by fear, but by faith. Not in confusion, but with clarity. Not with regret, but with purpose. Asterisk, educate yourself daily. Asterisk, and you will be ready. Not just for success, but for significance. Not just for the world's approval, but for God's assignment. God bless you. Your mind is a gift from God. Nurture it daily with truth and wisdom. That statement may sound simple, but it carries a truth so deep that if you hold on to it, it can shape the course of your entire life. The human mind is not just a collection of thoughts, facts, or ideas. It is the very center of your beliefs, your decisions, your dreams, and your destiny. God gave you this incredible gift, not just to survive, not just to think, but to grow, to build, to love, to lead, and to glorify Him through what you know, what you understand, and how you apply it in the world. Think of your mind like a garden. If you ignore it, weeds will grow. If you don't water it, the soil dries out. But if you take the time to plant, to nurture, to care for it day by day, something beautiful begins to grow. And just like a garden needs daily sunlight and water, your mind needs daily truth and wisdom. It needs the Word of God. It needs knowledge. It needs clarity and correction. It needs light to shine through the confusion of this world. Because we live in a world filled with noise, constant messages telling us who we should be, what we should think, what we should fear. But the mind that is daily nurtured with wisdom becomes strong enough to discern the truth from the lies. It becomes a lighthouse in a storm, steady and shining when everything else is shaking. God's word tells us in Romans 12:2, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That means your transformation, your breakthrough, your peace, your power, begins not with your surroundings, not with your money, not with other people, but with your mind. The mind is where faith is formed. It's where purpose is born. It's where battles are won or lost. And so many people are living below their potential, not because they lack ability, but because they have neglected the gift of their mind. They've filled it with fear instead of faith. They've let doubt take root where truth should have been planted. They've settled for surface knowledge instead of digging deep for wisdom. But you are called to more than that. You are called to be a seeker, a student of truth, a pursuer of wisdom. Every day that you wake up is a new invitation from God to grow in knowledge, to sharpen your mind, to develop your gifts, and to become a vessel of wisdom and light to the world around you. It doesn't have to be a grand effort. It can start with 10 minutes of reading, a few moments of reflection, a verse from scripture, a chapter from a book, a podcast, a question you've been meaning to explore. What matters is not how much, but how consistent. Daily, little by little, line by line, lesson by lesson, you are building a stronger mind and a brighter future. This world will try to fill your mind with fear, comparison, distraction, and doubt. But you have the power to choose what you feed your mind. Just like you choose what to eat, you choose what thoughts you allow in, what you read, what you listen to, what you dwell on. And if you begin to fill your mind with the things of God, truth, wisdom, encouragement, discipline, you'll begin to see your life shift. You'll begin to walk with greater purpose, greater confidence, greater peace. Because when your mind is rooted in truth, your soul is not easily shaken. When your mind is focused on growth, your vision becomes clear. And when your mind is disciplined by daily learning, your decisions become stronger, your words become wiser, and your future becomes brighter. You may not control everything in life, but you can control how you grow. You can choose to be a student every single day. The moment you stop learning, you stop leading. The moment you stop feeding your mind, your potential begins to shrink. But the moment you decide, I will educate myself daily, you step into a new level of power and preparation. God doesn't ask for perfection. He asks for effort. He asks for discipline. He asks for stewardship. And your mind is one of the most precious things He has entrusted you with. Don't waste it. Don't let it sit idle. Use it, challenge it, stretch it, strengthen it. There are ideas inside you waiting to be discovered. There is wisdom you haven't yet tapped into. There is potential still buried, waiting for the right moment to rise. But that moment begins with a decision to honor the mind God gave you by feeding it daily. You are not called to stay the same. You are called to grow, and growth begins in the mind. That's why I say again, your mind is a gift from God. Nurture it daily with truth and wisdom. Because the person who disciplines their mind with daily learning will not only be prepared for the challenges of today, they will be equipped for the victories of tomorrow. Keep learning. Keep growing. And watch what God will do. Every day is a new opportunity to grow. Don't waste it. This truth is both a challenge and a gift. It reminds us that life is not static. It moves, it breathes. It offers us a fresh start every single morning. No matter what happened yesterday, no matter what mistakes you made or what opportunities you missed, today stands before you like a blank page. And what you write on that page depends not on your past, but on your decision to grow. Right here, right now. Too often, people wait for the perfect moment to start improving their lives. They wait until they feel motivated. They wait until the pain is unbearable. They wait for someone else to give them permission. But the truth is, growth doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It begins in the present. It begins when you realize that time is a gift. And every day that passes without intentional growth is a day you can never get back. God has given you this day as a chance to become better than you were yesterday. Not better than anyone else. Better than you asterisk. You're not in competition with your neighbor. You're not being measured by someone else's timeline. You're running your race, and every sunrise is a new lap, a new opportunity to learn, to reflect, to sharpen your mind, and to become more of who you were created to be. Sometimes we underestimate the value of a single day. We say things like, "It's just one day," or "I'll start tomorrow." But the person who truly values growth knows that even one day can make a difference. One book can change your perspective. One conversation can open a new door. One moment of honesty can break a chain that's held you back for years. One act of discipline can lead to a habit that transforms your life. When you commit to growth, even in the smallest ways, you are showing gratitude for the gift of life. You are honoring the time you've been given. You are saying to God, "Thank you for this day. I will not waste it." And the beautiful thing about growth is that it doesn't require perfection. It only requires intention. You don't need to master everything in a day. You don't need to know all the answers. What matters is that you are moving forward one step at a time. There are seeds inside you, seeds of greatness, of wisdom, of creativity, of leadership. But those seeds will never bloom unless you water them daily. You can't expect to grow without effort. You can't expect to rise without discipline. Every day you spend scrolling endlessly, avoiding your purpose, pushing off your goals. That's a day that could have brought you closer to your calling. That's a day that could have prepared you for the opportunity you've been praying for. You don't grow by accident. You grow by decision. Every time you choose to read instead of distract yourself, you grow. Every time you choose to listen instead of argue, you grow. Every time you choose to learn from failure instead of fear it, you grow. That's how champions are made, not overnight, not in secret, but in the everyday moments when no one is watching, and the only thing pushing you forward is your commitment to becoming better than you were yesterday. People talk about purpose like it's some mystery, but your purpose is shaped in the process of daily growth. It's not always revealed in lightning flashes and big announcements. Sometimes it's uncovered through quiet study, through humble reflection, through the slow and steady building of your character. Growth refines you, it prepares you, it deepens your understanding of who you are and what you're called to do. And let me tell you this, growth doesn't always feel good. It stretches you, it challenges your pride, it demands that you confront your weaknesses, but that pain, that discomfort, it's proof that you're evolving. It's the growing pains of someone who refuses to settle, someone who knows they were made for more. Every day you choose growth over comfort, you become stronger, wiser, more prepared for what's ahead. The danger isn't failing. The danger is standing still. The danger is living the same year over and over again and calling it a life. Don't fall into that trap. You have a mind, you have a heart, you have a voice. You have potential, and today is your opportunity to use it, to stretch it, to build it. You don't need to take giant leaps. Just take one step, one action, one change, because once you get moving, momentum takes over. Growth breeds growth. Discipline fuels desire, and suddenly you're not just surviving. You're thriving, so take a deep breath. Look around, today is yours. What will you do with it? Will you let it slip by unnoticed, or will you honor it by growing? By learning something new, by stepping outside your comfort zone, by showing up for yourself with purpose and passion. You may not see the results right away. You may not feel the difference at first, but trust this, every day you choose to grow, you are planting seeds that will bear fruit in time. Keep going, keep learning, keep building, because every day is a new opportunity to grow, and you were born to make the most of it. You don't need a classroom to learn. You need commitment. This truth breaks down one of the most powerful myths in our world today. The idea that learning and growth are only for those who sit in lecture halls, attend elite universities, or carry a diploma. While formal education is valuable, it is not the only path to wisdom, understanding, and personal transformation. In fact, some of the most successful, insightful, and impactful people in history were not shaped solely by institutions, but by an unshakable commitment to learn, anywhere, anytime, from anyone. The world is a classroom. Life is constantly offering lessons, through books, through conversations, through mistakes, through quiet moments of reflection. The person who is committed to growth doesn't wait to be taught, they seek it out. They don't say, I'll learn when I enroll. They say, I'll learn now with what I have right where I am. That mindset is the foundation of true transformation. You see, the power to learn lies not in your environment, but in your attitude. A classroom can give you information, but only commitment can turn that information into action. You can sit through lectures and still remain unchanged. You can have access to knowledge and yet live in ignorance if you don't engage with it. Question it, apply it. Commitment is what separates those who talk about growing from those who actually grow. In this generation, knowledge is more accessible than ever. You can learn a language from your phone. You can study science, history, business, art, almost anything, without leaving your home. But accessibility doesn't mean growth will happen automatically. You must choose it. You must wake up every day with a desire to expand your understanding. You must develop a hunger for truth, a passion for learning, a fire in your spirit that says, I will not let this day pass without learning something new. That fire doesn't depend on status, money, or academic background. It depends on your willingness to be a student of life. Some of the greatest minds were forged not in lecture halls, but in libraries, workplaces, and prayer closets. They learned from experience, from failure, from perseverance. They didn't wait for someone to hand them a lesson plan. They created their own, driven by a vision of who they wanted to become. You may not have a teacher standing in front of you, but if you have discipline, curiosity, and humility, you can learn more than most people ever will. Discipline keeps you consistent. Curiosity keeps you asking questions. Humility keeps you open to correction and change. These qualities are the true credentials of a lifelong learner. They don't come from a certificate. They come from the heart. It's important to understand that learning without commitment is like planting a seed and never watering it. You can gather all the books and resources in the world, but if you don't engage, if you don't commit, that knowledge stays dormant. But when you commit, even if it's just to read a chapter a day, to ask one question, to reflect for 10 minutes, you begin to activate the process of growth. You start building a foundation of strength and clarity that no one can take away from you. Commitment also means learning even when it's uncomfortable. Growth doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it confronts your pride. It challenges your assumptions. It asks you to unlearn before you can relearn. But this is where true wisdom is born, in the struggle, in the surrender, in the willingness to admit you don't know everything, and the determination to keep pressing forward anyway. Too many people give up on growth because they think they need perfect conditions. They think they need a degree or a tutor or a structured curriculum. But the truth is, what you need most is a decision to stop waiting and start growing, a decision to take responsibility for your own development, a decision to turn every situation, every mistake, every encounter into a learning opportunity. That kind of commitment transforms your mind. It trains you to look for lessons in every experience. It teaches you to listen more deeply, to observe more carefully, to live more intentionally. It creates a mindset that thrives in uncertainty, adapts in adversity, and leads with wisdom. That's the kind of learning that changes lives, not just your own, but the lives of everyone you influence. Because when you grow, you have more to give. When you learn, you can teach. When you commit to your own development, you become a beacon for others. You begin to live a life of impact, not because of what's on your resume, but because of what's in your spirit. And that kind of impact can't be manufactured in a classroom. It must be cultivated in daily, disciplined commitment. So, don't wait for permission to grow. Don't wait for someone to teach you. Become your own student. Be curious, be hungry, be relentless. Use every tool available to you. Watch documentaries, listen to mentors, read good books, reflect on your experiences, learn from failure, learn from success, learn from silence. Learn from Scripture. Wherever you are, whatever your circumstances, learning is possible. If you are committed, remember this: your greatest advantage is not your background. It's not your money. It's not your education. It's your commitment to learn and grow, no matter what. So hold on to that fire, feed it daily, because you don't need a classroom to learn. You need commitment. And with that commitment, nothing can stop you from becoming everything you were created to be. A growing mind leads to a growing life. This is a truth that echoes through every success story, every breakthrough moment, and every lasting transformation. When your mind begins to expand, your entire world begins to shift. You start to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You begin to discover solutions instead of staying stuck in problems. The limits that once defined your path begin to fade, and a new horizon begins to open before you. All of this happens not through luck or chance, but through the steady, intentional process of mental growth. Your life will only grow to the level of your thinking. If your mind is small, limited, and negative, your life will reflect that. But if your mind is open, disciplined, and filled with wisdom, your life will begin to flourish in ways you never imagined. Everything begins in the mind. Every dream, every plan, every decision, every action. It all starts with a thought. And if your thoughts are limited by fear, doubt, and ignorance, your actions will be the same. But if your thoughts are strengthened by knowledge, shaped by clarity, and guided by truth, your actions will lead to growth, success, and purpose. When you grow your mind, you change the way you respond to life. Problems that used to overwhelm you become challenges you're ready to face. Criticism that used to break you becomes feedback that sharpens you. Uncertainty that used to paralyze you becomes an invitation to trust and adapt. This is not magic. This is the power of a growing mind. It doesn't mean you'll never struggle, but it does mean you'll face struggles with a different strength, with perspective, patience, and perseverance. Many people pray for a better life, but they never train their minds to handle that better life. They want success without strategy. They want promotion without preparation. But if your mind isn't ready, even your biggest blessings can turn into burdens. That's why God often grows your mind before he expands your territory, because he knows you must be able to handle what you ask for. You must be able to sustain what you build, and that begins with how you think, how you learn, how you process, and how you grow. A growing mind is not just filled with facts, it is shaped by wisdom. Wisdom comes from experience, from reflection, from applying truth in your everyday decisions. A growing mind doesn't seek knowledge just to appear intelligent. It seeks knowledge to live with purpose, to make better choices, to understand yourself and others, to lead with love, humility, and confidence. The more your mind grows, the more capable you become of building a life that aligns with your calling. When your mind grows, your relationships improve. You learn how to communicate with empathy. You learn how to forgive with understanding. You learn how to listen, how to respond instead of react. Growth in the mind leads to growth in the heart, and that affects every person you interact with. Whether you're leading a team, raising a family, serving your community, or building a business, your ability to impact others is directly connected to the strength and maturity of your mindset. Growth also brings clarity. When your mind is filled with wisdom, it becomes easier to say no to distractions and yes to your priorities. You stop chasing every opportunity and start focusing on the right opportunities. You stop comparing yourself to others and start running your own race with confidence. Clarity gives you peace. It gives you focus. It helps you stay anchored when life tries to pull you in every direction. And that clarity only comes from growth, from the daily decision to feed your mind with what is good, true, and helpful. A growing mind is also more resilient. Life will test you. There will be setbacks, disappointments, delays, and moments when nothing makes sense. But a mind that is rooted in growth will not be easily shaken. It knows how to adjust. It knows how to look for lessons in the pain. It knows how to endure without giving up. Because growth gives you perspective. It reminds you that failure is not final, that storms don't last forever, and that every valley can be a classroom if you choose to learn. This is why you must protect your mind. Be careful what you feed it, what you watch, what you read, who you listen to. These things shape your thinking, and your thinking shapes your life. Don't allow negativity, fear, or foolishness to occupy space in your mind. Instead, fill it with wisdom, with truth, with learning, with God's word, with stories of hope and courage, with teachings that challenge and stretch you. Because when your mind is filled with light, your path becomes brighter. When your thoughts are strong, your steps become steady. Growth doesn't happen overnight. It's not a quick fix. It's a lifestyle. It's a daily choice to renew your mind, to challenge your limits, to expand your understanding. But every step of that journey adds up. Every book you read, every insight you gain, every mistake you learn from, every truth you embrace, it's all building something within you, something solid, something unshakable, something that will prepare you for the doors that are yet to open. Never underestimate the power of a growing mind. It is the foundation for a growing life. If you want to rise, start by renewing your thoughts. If you want to change your future, change what you feed your mind today. The transformation always starts within. When the mind grows, everything else follows. Your habits, your vision, your relationships, your influence, and your destiny. A growing mind leads to a growing life. Make that your daily mission, and watch your world begin to transform. You don't have to know everything. You just have to keep learning. This truth carries a kind of freedom that too many people overlook. In a world obsessed with perfection, instant results, and being right, we forget that the most powerful people are not the ones who have all the answers, but the ones who stay teachable, the ones who keep showing up, the ones who remain curious and committed to the journey of learning, even when they stumble, even when they feel behind, even when they doubt themselves. Because growth is not about knowing it all. It's about becoming someone who never stops reaching for more understanding. Many people delay their dreams, shrink their goals, or avoid opportunities because they think they're not ready. They tell themselves, I don't know enough yet, or what if I get it wrong? But the truth is, no one starts out knowing everything. Every expert was once a beginner. Every leader was once a learner. Every confident speaker once stumbled over their words. Every skilled worker once made simple mistakes. What set them apart was not that they knew everything, but that they kept learning. They were willing to grow in public. They were willing to take small steps, make adjustments, and trust the process. Learning is not a destination, it's a lifestyle. It's not something you do once and complete. It's something you carry with you wherever you go, in whatever you do. The greatest minds in history, from scientists and inventors to artists and prophets, didn't reach a point where they said, I've arrived. Instead, they kept asking questions. They kept studying, they kept listening. They remained humble enough to admit they didn't know it all and wise enough to keep seeking deeper understanding. There's a quiet power in humility. When you accept that you don't have to be perfect, you free yourself to be real. You free yourself to try, you free yourself to grow, and when you commit to learning, you're telling the world, and yourself, that you value growth more than image, progress more than pride, truth more than ego. That kind of mindset is unstoppable. It allows you to rise even after failure, to learn from criticism without being crushed by it, and to keep moving forward even when the road isn't clear. Some of the most dangerous moments in life come when people stop learning. They think they've heard it all, seen it all, done it all, and in that moment their growth stops, their mindset hardens, they stop listening to others, they stop reflecting on their own actions, they stop adjusting. That's when decline begins, not because of lack of talent, but because of a lack of teachability. Staying teachable is one of the most powerful traits you can carry. It keeps your heart soft, your mind open, and your spirit ready for whatever comes next. You don't need to impress anyone with how much you know. You don't need to pretend to have it all figured out. What matters is that you're learning more today than you knew yesterday, that you're willing to ask questions, that you're willing to admit when you're wrong, that you're open to new ideas, fresh perspectives, and wise counsel. That's how you grow. That's how you transform. You also have to be willing to learn from unexpected places. Wisdom doesn't always come from textbooks and classrooms. Sometimes it comes from a child's question. Sometimes it comes from a painful mistake. Sometimes it comes from quiet prayer, from honest feedback, or from simply paying attention to life as it unfolds. If you're always waiting for the perfect teacher or the ideal moment, you'll miss the lessons happening right in front of you. The key is to stay alert, stay curious, and stay humble. Even your struggles can be your greatest teachers. Failure is not the enemy. It's a mirror. It shows you where you need to grow. It reveals blind spots. It develops resilience. When you approach failure with a learning mindset, it loses its power to shame you. Instead, it becomes a stepping stone, a lesson, a gift. The most successful people aren't the ones who avoid failure. They're the ones who learn from it, rise from it, and keep going with more wisdom than before. Learning also builds confidence. Not fake confidence that comes from pretending to know everything, but real confidence that comes from being prepared, from gaining clarity, from understanding your path. The more you learn, the more you realize that you are capable, that you can figure things out, that you can grow into the person you need to be. Confidence built on knowledge is unshakable. It's grounded. It's peaceful. It allows you to walk boldly, not because you know it all, but because you trust that you're willing and able to learn what you need along the way. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop hiding behind the fear of not knowing enough. The truth is, you're already enough to start. You're already enough to learn, and as you do, you'll get stronger, you'll gain wisdom, you'll move forward. Every day is a chance to learn something new about the world, about others, about yourself, and about your purpose. Never be ashamed of being a student. Never be too proud to ask questions. Never stop stretching your mind, challenging your assumptions, and embracing the process. Because you don't have to know everything. You just have to keep learning. That attitude will take you further than talent, faster than luck, and deeper than knowledge alone ever could. Keep learning and you'll keep growing. Keep growing and you'll keep becoming. That's the path to greatness. That's the journey worth taking. Your environment shapes your thoughts more than you might realize. The people you spend time with, the places you frequent, and even the media you consume all influence the way you think, feel, and act. If you want to grow your mind, you must be intentional about the environment you create for yourself. Growth rarely happens by accident. It requires a conscious decision to surround yourself with influences that challenge, inspire, and elevate you, rather than those that limit, drain, or distract you. Think about this. The average person spends more time with friends, colleagues, and media than with any formal teacher or mentor. If those daily influences are filled with negativity, doubt, and limitation, your mind will start to reflect that. You might begin to believe things about yourself and the world that are simply not true. You may find yourself stuck in the same patterns, hearing the same discouraging voices, and doubting your ability to improve. But if you surround yourself with people who believe in growth, who push you to be better, and who live with purpose, your mind will start to expand naturally. Your environment includes not only the people around you, but also the ideas you expose yourself to. The books you read, the podcasts you listen to, the videos you watch, all of these shape your mental landscape. If your daily diet is full of content that is shallow, negative, or fear-driven, it's hard for your mind to grow strong. But when you feed your mind with wisdom, inspiration, and truth, you create fertile soil for growth. It's like planting seeds in rich soil rather than on a rocky path. Your thoughts become stronger, your vision clearer, and your motivation deeper. Changing your environment might not always be easy. Sometimes the people around you don't support your growth because they are comfortable where they are. Sometimes the culture you live in promotes quick fixes and distractions instead of deep learning and discipline. Sometimes it means making difficult choices, like limiting time with certain friends, seeking out new mentors, or curating your media carefully. But these choices are essential if you want your mind to grow. You cannot keep watering a dead plant and expect it to flourish. You must water what will grow. One of the most powerful environments you can create is one of accountability. Surround yourself with people who will challenge you, ask the hard questions, and hold you to your commitments. Growth thrives when it is nurtured by honest feedback and support. When you have people who celebrate your progress but also call you out when you fall short, your mind learns to stay focused and disciplined. This kind of environment pushes you beyond your comfort zone and helps you develop resilience and clarity. Your environment also impacts your habits, and habits shape your mind. If you're in a space that encourages procrastination, negativity, or distraction, those habits will grow. But if your environment encourages discipline, learning, and focus, those habits will become a natural part of your life. Your surroundings can either be a trap or a launch pad. The difference lies in your intentionality. Growth is rarely an accident. It's the product of deliberate choices about where you invest your time and attention. It's important to remember that changing your environment doesn't mean isolating yourself or avoiding challenges. Sometimes growth happens most when you step into new environments that stretch you, new jobs, new cities, new cultures, new ideas. These experiences push your mind to adapt, learn, and expand. But even then, your choice of what to absorb and how to respond makes all the difference. You can enter a challenging environment and become overwhelmed, or you can enter it with a mindset ready to learn and grow. The stories of great leaders, inventors, and changemakers often reveal how important environment was in their growth. Many sought out mentors, joined communities of like-minded people, or immersed themselves in cultures of excellence. They understood that growth was not just about what they did alone, but about where they put themselves. They created environments that fueled their potential rather than stifled it. Your environment also impacts your emotions and beliefs. When you surround yourself with negativity and cynicism, it's easy to become discouraged and doubtful. But when you surround yourself with encouragement, hope, and faith, your mind becomes fertile ground for confidence and courage. The way you think about yourself and your future is shaped by the emotional atmosphere you live in. Positive environments create positive minds, and positive minds create positive outcomes. One of the most practical steps you can take is to evaluate your environment regularly. Ask yourself, who do I spend the most time with? What kind of conversations do we have? What kind of media do I consume? How does this environment make me feel? Energized or drained? Encouraged or discouraged? Inspired or stuck? These questions are not just about comfort, they are about growth. If your answers don't point toward growth, it's time to make changes. Small changes can have big impacts. It might mean joining a new book club, finding a mentor, limiting time on social media, or simply spending more time with people who inspire you. It might mean setting boundaries with negative influences or creating a dedicated space for reading and reflection. These adjustments build an environment where your mind can thrive. Remember, you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This is more than just a catchy phrase. It's a reality rooted in how our minds absorb and mirror the attitudes and habits of those around us. If you want to grow, you have to grow your circle. You have to surround yourself with people who challenge you, encourage you, and push you to become your best self. Your environment is not just physical, it's mental, emotional, and spiritual. It includes the voices you listen to, the beliefs you hold, and the atmosphere you create in your own mind. Cultivating a healthy environment means guarding these areas carefully. It means choosing thoughts that empower rather than limit. It means creating mental space for growth rather than clutter. In the end, the environment you create will determine the growth you experience. Growth is not just about what you learn, it's about where you learn it. It's about the people who influence you, the ideas you absorb, and the habits you form. If you want your mind to grow, start by growing your environment. Make it a place where learning is welcomed, challenges are embraced, and growth is inevitable. When you do, your life will change in ways you never thought possible. One of the most important truths about growth is that it demands consistency. Growth is not an event, it's a process. It's not something that happens overnight or in bursts of sudden inspiration. Real, lasting growth happens through steady, daily effort. It's in the small, seemingly insignificant choices you make each day that your mind either expands or stays stagnant. If you want your mind to grow, you have to commit to consistency, showing up day after day, even when you don't feel like it, even when progress seems slow or invisible. Consistency is the foundation upon which all success is built. The greatest achievements in history were not the result of luck or sudden genius. They were the product of disciplined, persistent effort over time. The same is true for mental growth. You won't become wiser or stronger by reading one book or attending one seminar. You become wiser by reading many books, reflecting on their lessons, and applying those lessons consistently. You become stronger by practicing daily habits of learning, listening, and thinking, not by occasional bursts of motivation. When you commit to consistency, you build momentum. Momentum is a powerful force. It makes progress easier, motivation higher, and obstacles smaller. But momentum only comes from repeated action. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. The longer it rolls, the bigger it gets. But if you stop pushing the snowball, it slows, stops, and melts away. The same is true for your mind. If you keep feeding it with knowledge, challenging it with new ideas, and exercising it with reflection and application, your mental capacity grows steadily. But if you stop even for a short time, growth slows or reverses. Consistency also builds discipline. Discipline is what keeps you going when motivation fades. Motivation is powerful but often fleeting. It comes and goes like waves. Discipline is what keeps you showing up when the waves are low. It's what keeps you reading, learning, and growing even when you're tired, distracted, or discouraged. Discipline is built through consistent action. Each time you choose to keep going despite difficulty, you strengthen your discipline muscle. Over time, this muscle becomes strong enough to carry you through any challenge. Another reason consistency is vital is because it allows for compounding growth. Just like money grows through compound interest, your mind grows exponentially when you consistently invest in it. Every bit of knowledge, every new skill, every lesson learned adds up. The impact might seem small day to day, but over weeks, months, and years, the results multiply. You begin to see connections you missed before, solve problems more easily, and think more creatively. This kind of growth is unstoppable because it's built on a foundation of persistent effort. Consistency also helps to create habits that support your growth. Habits are the automatic actions you take without thinking. When you consistently practice learning, discipline, and reflection, these actions eventually become habits. Habits free up mental energy because they don't require constant decision making or willpower. They become part of who you are. When growth becomes a habit, it no longer feels like a struggle. It feels natural and necessary. Your mind will crave learning and improvement because it's wired that way. The challenge is that consistency often requires sacrifice. It means choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. It means saying no to distractions, excuses, and instant gratification. It means prioritizing your mental growth even when it's inconvenient or difficult. But the rewards far outweigh the sacrifices. The person who consistently invests in their mind will live a life of greater clarity, purpose, and impact. They will be ready for opportunities when others are not. They will be resilient when setbacks come. They will grow beyond what they once thought possible. Many people give up on growth because they don't see immediate results. They expect change to happen quickly and become discouraged when it doesn't. But growth is like planting a tree. You don't see the roots growing underground, but they are strengthening every day. Eventually, the tree breaks through the soil and grows tall. You must trust the process and keep showing up, even when progress feels invisible. Consistency is faith in action. It's believing that every small step matters and will lead to bigger breakthroughs. It's also important to remember that consistency doesn't mean perfection. You won't be perfect every day. There will be times when you miss your goals, lose focus, or face setbacks. What matters is that you don't let those moments stop you. A consistent mindset is one that gets back up, refocuses, and continues forward. It's about progress, not perfection. Even if you fail today, choose to try again tomorrow. Over time, those daily attempts will build into lasting growth. To develop consistency, create a plan and make it simple. Break your growth goals into manageable daily actions. Whether it's reading a chapter, writing a journal entry, listening to a podcast, or reflecting on a lesson, choose habits that you can realistically commit to every day. Use reminders, accountability partners, or schedules to keep yourself on track. Celebrate small wins and use them as motivation to keep going. The key is to make consistency a priority, not an option. Consistency also strengthens your confidence. Every day you show up and put in the work, you prove to yourself that you are capable and committed. This builds self-trust, which is essential for growth. When you trust yourself to keep going, you take on bigger challenges and reach higher goals. Confidence grows not from sudden success, but from the steady accumulation of effort and progress. In the end, consistency is not just a habit, it's a mindset. It's the commitment to lifelong growth, the willingness to keep learning and improving no matter what. It's the refusal to settle for stagnation or excuses. It's the belief that the small things done every day lead to extraordinary results. When you embrace consistency, you unlock the true potential of your mind. You become unstoppable. You become the person you were created to be. Your mindset is everything. It's the lens through which you view the world, yourself, and your potential. It determines how you interpret challenges, setbacks, and opportunities. The way you think about yourself and your abilities either limits you or propels you forward. If you want your mind to grow, adopting a growth mindset is essential. This means believing that your intelligence, skills, and character can be developed through effort, learning, and persistence. It means seeing failures not as dead ends, but as stepping stones to success. A growth mindset opens doors that a fixed mindset keeps closed. When you believe your abilities are fixed traits, something you're born with and can't change, you tend to avoid challenges, give up easily, and feel threatened by the success of others. But when you believe that your abilities can grow, you embrace challenges as opportunities to learn. You persevere in the face of setbacks. You are inspired by the achievements of others rather than discouraged. This shift in thinking fundamentally changes the way you approach life and learning. One of the key benefits of a growth mindset is resilience. Life will inevitably bring difficulties, failures, criticism, disappointments. With a fixed mindset, these can feel like personal attacks or proof of inadequacy. They can cause you to shut down, avoid risks, or lose confidence. But with a growth mindset, you see these obstacles as part of the learning process. You understand that setbacks are temporary and valuable. You learn from mistakes instead of being defeated by them. This resilience allows you to keep moving forward, growing stronger with each challenge. A growth mindset It also encourages curiosity and creativity. When you believe you can learn and improve, you become more willing to explore new ideas, experiment with different approaches, and think outside the box. You're less afraid of being wrong because you see mistakes as feedback rather than failure. This openness leads to innovation and discovery. It frees you from the fear of judgment and perfectionism, allowing you to express your unique talents and perspectives more fully. Your mindset shapes your habits and behaviors. If you believe growth is possible, you're more likely to seek out learning opportunities, set ambitious goals, and put in the effort required to achieve them. You become proactive in your development, constantly asking, "How can I improve? What can I learn from this?" This proactive attitude creates a positive feedback loop. Growth leads to more growth. Conversely, a fixed mindset can lead to stagnation, complacency, and missed opportunities because it closes off the desire to try and improve. Changing your mind, it is not always easy because many limiting beliefs are deeply ingrained. You might have grown up hearing that you're not good enough at certain things, or that success comes only to a lucky few. These messages can create mental barriers that keep you stuck. But the good news is that your mindset is not set in stone. It's something you can develop with intention and practice. You can train your mind to see challenges as opportunities, to embrace effort as a path to mastery, and to believe in your capacity to grow. One practical way to develop a growth mindset is to pay attention to your self-talk, the internal dialogue that runs through your mind. Notice when you say things like "I can't do this," or "I'm just not good at that." Challenge those thoughts by asking yourself, "Is this really true? What evidence do I have that I can improve with effort?" Replace limiting statements with empowering ones like "I can learn this if I keep trying," or "mistakes help me grow." Over time, this shift in language rewires your brain to focus on possibilities rather than limitations. Another powerful practice is to view effort as a positive sign rather than a sign of weakness. Many people avoid effort because they equate it with struggle or failure. They want things to come easily as proof of their talent, but effort is the engine of growth. It's what takes you from where you are to where you want to be. When you embrace effort, you build skills, deepen understanding, and strengthen your character. You learn patience and persistence, which are essential for long-term success. It's also important to celebrate progress, not just perfection. Growth is a journey, not a destination. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment or the right result, acknowledge the small wins along the way. Each step forward, no matter how small, is proof that you're growing. This positive reinforcement encourages you to keep going. It reminds you that growth is about the process, not just the outcome. Surrounding yourself with others who have a growth mindset can also make a huge difference. When you spend time with people who encourage learning, embrace challenges, and celebrate effort, it becomes easier to adopt those attitudes yourself. You gain new perspectives, support, and inspiration. You see what's possible and feel motivated to stretch beyond your comfort zone. Remember that mindset affects not only your mental growth, but also your overall well-being. A growth mindset reduces stress and anxiety because it shifts your focus from fear of failure to curiosity and learning. It fosters optimism and hope because it believes in possibility. It creates a sense of purpose because it aligns your actions with the belief that you are capable of becoming better. This positive mindset improves your relationships, your career, and your personal fulfillment. In conclusion, your mindset is the key to unlocking your potential. By cultivating a growth mindset, you transform the way you approach challenges, setbacks, and opportunities. You develop resilience, curiosity, and confidence. You break free from limiting beliefs and open yourself to a lifetime of learning and improvement. The path to a growing mind is not always easy, but it is always worth it. When you believe in your ability to grow, there is no limit to what you can achieve. Keep your mind open, keep your heart humble, and keep your spirit determined. Growth is yours for the taking. To sum it all up, educating yourself daily is the most powerful investment you can make in your life. It's not just about gathering information, but about nurturing your mind to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient every single day. When you commit to learning consistently, Surround yourself with positive influences, adopt a growth mindset, and embrace the process with discipline and patience. You unlock your true potential. Growth isn't a quick fix. It's a lifelong journey that shapes who you are and what you can achieve. So make the choice today to feed your mind, challenge your limits, and never stop growing. Your future self will thank you for the dedication and effort you put in right now. Keep educating yourself daily, because your mind is the greatest asset you have, and it's yours to grow without limits.